Hello, my name is David Chu. I'm an upper and I'm currently at home in Shanghai, China with my parents. I already shared this with a couple of friends, but it was really crazy and I'll see if I can get it all straight. Okay, so the flights were fine, but when that last plane from Taiwan to Shanghai landed, that's when things started to ramp up a little. So you know how everyone lines up to get out of the plane once the plane docks? When everyone was lining up, these people in hazmat suits boarded the plane, and then on the loudspeaker they told everyone to go back to the seats. And then they started calling like individual people to go up and get out of the plane first. And this took about like 40 minutes because they were like scanning everyone before they got off the plane. So when we got off the plane, all the people who came from the United States were put to one side, and this guy in the hazmat suit came over and then led us all to a random place in the airport. And he took us to a room with a bunch of stalls, each manned with the person in a hazmat suit. And on the plane, we filled out a form about like where we've been, if we're showing any symptoms, and basically we would wait in line, and then each hazmat officer would call someone up, and then they would start questioning you about what you've done for the past 14 days and if you've been exposed to the virus. Yeah, I was questioned for about like 30 minutes, and it was a little awkward because my Chinese is a little rusty. So after all this like quarantining, when I passed immigration and got my bag and ready to leave the airport, right before the exit, there's a bunch of booths, each marked with one district of Shanghai. So I went to the one where I live, and at the table there's like 15 police officers, each in hazmat suits. They take my passport and then they question me again, like where I came from, where's my address here. And then they asked me to call my parents to see if they're ready to pick me up, because you're not allowed to take any public transportation or taxis. But my phone didn't work, so I had one of the police officers call my parents. And then when my parents came here, they called the police officer again, and I was escorted out of the airport to my parents' car. So I'm with my parents in the car, and they're all wearing masks and goggles and stuff, and I think everything's fine because I'm out of the airport. But in the middle of the car ride, both my parents get phone calls, and it turns out it's from the police. And they told us that before we entered our compound, our apartment building, there would be a police and doctor escort outside waiting for us. And sure enough, before the entrance of our compound, when we got there were 4 doctors in hazmat suits and 3 security guards and an ambulance just trailing our car. And they basically told us that we had to send them our temperatures twice a day, and we had to quarantine ourselves in our apartment. And during this whole time, there's just people around us filming us because they think something like serious is going down. And then when we enter the compound and drive to my building, when we get there are people outside the entrance waiting for us, and they told us to stay in the car for a while until the disinfector guy came in. So finally, when we enter in the building and take the elevator up to my apartment, there's this guy with a bottle of bleach just spraying our trail as we walked, and then spraying the elevator to make sure that nothing stays on there. And yeah, when I got home, I just went into my room, and now I have to stay here for 14 days. Although the process of me getting into Shanghai was really scary, now when I look back at it, it's definitely what was necessary to ensure that I'm safe and that the people around me stay safe. And when I look at the news and see what's happening in the US, I feel really concerned for how they're handling the situation and for the well-being of my friends and family still in the US. A couple of things. Number one, a lot of people there still think it's just like the flu when it's really not. And people here in China, because they've been through the peak of the virus, they know that it's a really serious issue and it's not just any other virus. Number two, the US government doesn't seem to have any clear direction of where they're going. There's not enough tests. The airports, there's no special things happening. So that needs to step up. The coronavirus for the past few months has put a lot of stress on my family, especially since it's pretty much had a direct impact on us. Starting at the beginning of the year in January, my parents were really worried about the whole situation in China. And when it started to cool down, it came to the US, and they were worried about what I would be doing for spring break. The most challenging thing for me and my family this break was getting me home, because we really didn't know whether I should come home or not because of online classes, a time difference, and whether or not I had to go back to school in a couple of weeks. But that part's over, so right now I think we're just chilling and hoping everything dies down. One concern I have about online classes, and I know a lot of other students from different time zones also have, is whether or not we have to be in class live. One concern I have about online classes, and I know a lot of other students from different time zones also have, is whether or not we have to be in class live. Because if I had to be in class in the same time zone as Andover, I would have to stay up all night, and I just don't know how that's going to work out. And the last thing I have to say about the coronavirus in general, and it's also what saddens me the most, is just all the racism and xenophobia regarding Asian people amid this whole situation, and also just how the US had months to prepare for this because they saw this happen in China first, but now 2 months later they're still not prepared, and then it's affecting me, everyone in the US, my family, my friends. So I just think it's just not right.